Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. I've been talking about the cost of living crisis. I've been talking about money given to support the cost of living crisis. I've been linking the cost of living crisis with different topics, subtopics, and if you watch this video, watch the rest of the video as well. I'm now actually doing voice recording and integrating it with templates. It's an approach I'm developing. So leave a comment below if you like it, if you don't like it, let me know. And thank you everyone who have been watching and everyone who haven't watched yet. If you your first time, then you're warmly welcome. And do your best and subscribe. Subscribing is free and it takes seconds. And you don't need to register. Information you've already used on your phone is enough. You don't need to put any information. I'm repeating this information because I've been getting feedback from people who are requesting to subscribe to support my channel. They are talking about money. I said, no, we don't pay for subscribing. So let us go straight to talking about universal credit with money given in the United Kingdom. I also said what happened in the United Kingdom is important around the world because it is similar. So pay attention even if you don't live in the United Kingdom. Last time we talked about universal credit, which is actually money. If you live in the UK, you know something called benefit, which is actually I also explained in the other videos. Watch this with the rest of the video. If you have time, leave a comment below if you need additional information for yourself or for somebody else. And you can actually access government website in the UK, gov.uk, and other charity, major charity, which actually exist in the United Kingdom. And do yourself a favor. If you need help, go to the professional. If there is capacity, if they can absorb you, it is getting harder and harder because of the changes involved in the public sector. I've discussed this previously and I will continue actually repeating some of the points because they are extremely important. There is something today we are going to talk about sanction of benefit, which is government policy in the UK, which is a punishment relating to agreement you made when you are claiming benefit, in this case universal credit. So I've already said it before that normally how it works. I'll be explaining how it works. I've done it before. I'm just repeating because I'm going to take it forward from here. And normally it doesn't actually affect your benefit. And if sanction has already ended when your universal credit also ended, or when you are not claiming universal credit. Universal credit is a new benefit because people are transitioning from the legacy benefit to universal credit. I'll also discuss this, watch other videos alongside this. And so we'll talk about sanction. It's a type of punishment. It's a benefit rules. So if your benefit sanction ends when you are not claiming universal credit, then it will not affect your payment. Because what sanction does is actually it's a reduction in benefit. Because you have done something wrong, you've broken the rule or some agreement you made with the Department of Work and Pension. And I've already given our opinion, and I think it is a bad policy because those getting on benefit are already poor. And I have also said the main objective of benefit is to get British people out of poverty. And leave a comment below what you think about universal credit. If you live in the United Kingdom, if you live outside the United Kingdom, in another country, just give an opinion, let me know what you're thinking. So if you start actually getting universal credit and your sanction hasn't ended, then it will affect your payment. It will be reduced. Your benefit will be reduced, like I said. Normally, there is a set date where the chunk sanction begins and ends. So this will be reflected in your payment. Your benefit will be cut accordingly the way it is arranged. So normally the Department of Work and Pension tells you how long your sanction is going to end. If you're not clear, talk to your advisor. Now, if you are subjected to benefit sanction, universal credit sanction, but for some reason you stop claiming benefit before the sanction starts, when you claim again, the sanction will also start again a day before the previous claim ended. So like I said, if you claim again and your sanction hasn't ended, your claim will be affected, it will be reduced. Therefore, it is a good idea to check what the sanction is for and also find out if it's going to affect your money, because the money you're going to be paid is going to be affected. When you start claiming benefit, or if you're claiming benefit and you are under sanction, your benefit will be reduced, but you might still get some money depending on your income and whether what you're earning or what saving you might have. You can also challenge the sanction, the decision of the sanction under certain circumstances. If, for example, you are a work coach, which is your who is your advisor also at the Department of Work and Pension, if they give you a job to apply for and you didn't apply, this can attract sanction. There's always a formula for calculating the time of the sanction and when you start or stop claiming universal credit. If actually your sanction has ended before you start claiming again, if you stop claiming universal credit, maybe you found a job or just for some other reason, and then you come back after your sanction has ended, it will not affect the level of your benefit. When you claim universal credit, it normally takes up to a month or 5 months, actually 5 weeks, more than 4 weeks before you get your payment. You can get advance payment of universal credit. Advance payment actually is a loan, you have to pay it back. Advance payment is to help you get by, because when people go to claim universal credit, which is benefit, it means they have no savings. They might have savings, but if you have savings, maybe 16,000, maybe 15,000 pounds, maybe you will not need to get advance payment, because you only get advance payment. You ask advance payment if you have no money at all. So if you are actually getting a low level of universal credit because of your circumstances, maybe you have more money in your bank account, but your money has reduced, and you expect your universal credit to go up, you can also get advance payment under those circumstances. So you normally ask for advance payment if you are actually going to struggle, you're not going to have enough money to live on, and based on the information you give on to the government, Department of Work and Pension, DWP, and that will determine whether or not they will give you the advance payment. Normally, you don't need to pay interest on this loan, but it is a loan which you have to pay it back. That is advance payment or universal credit. When you claim universal credit, normally you are given appointments for interview. Normally, the first interview is best if you need to ask for advance payment of universal credit, is to ask it on the first day. And so that is how you can get an advance payment, by asking on the first day of your universal credit interview. If you haven't had an appointment for your first universal credit interview, you can actually ask for advance payment online or by phoning the Department of Work and Pension, calling Universal Credit Helpline. You can talk to your work coach, and they will tell you when, if any, you will get the advance payment. It might be on the same day when you ask for it. Sometimes it takes longer. So once agreed, often you get it in 3 working days from the Department of Work and Pension. If your situation is actually desperate, then you can actually talk to the Department of Work and Pension to pay you the money on the same day. This is the case if you have no other source of income, other money coming in to live on. For example, if you are low income, or perhaps you don't have any source of money at all, of income at all, or if you have no saving at all. Normally, when you claim universal credit, you have to give detail of your bank account. They normally pay money into your bank account, and also advance payment will also be paid in your universal credit bank account. Normally, you can ask the full amount for the full month, or you can actually ask less, or perhaps you can ask for more. But if you ask for more than 1 month's payment, probably you will have to explain why. In a nutshell, if you're asking for advance payment, normally it will equate to the full amount, because normally you can ask for maybe a week or 2 weeks equivalents of how much you would get in a month. But you can ask it. You can ask it for one or more times. But whether you ask it once or twice or more, the total amount you get cannot exceed the total amount you get of universal credit within a month. Like I said already, there is eligibility criteria for getting an advance payment, and this actually has to do with your financial need. And also, what you need financially will depend on whether you have savings or income. Saving, already explained in the other videos, the amount which is actually reasonably considered. And normally, if you have saving, in my opinion, you might not be able to get it. But you still have to speak to the Department of Work and Pension. And normally, even if your parents are the one giving you money, or your family or friends giving you some money, that is counted as income. And once you have money being given to you, the Department of Work and Pension is less likely to give you advance payment. You may not be eligible for advance payment. If you are claimant or you're claiming for somebody else, if they don't have enough money to live on, and the Department of Work and Pension should give them advance, they should offer them an advance payment. Often there's something called national insurance number, which every working individual in the United Kingdom should have it. Should have that number. Normally, if you don't, you may not be able to get any benefit at all, including advance payment. But sometimes when you don't remember it, you have to kind of like find where the number is allocated to the Department of Work and Pension. And when if you are still waiting for verification of NI number, then you can still ask for an advance payment, and you can be given advance payment. Like I said, if you already had your first universal credit interview, you therefore might not be able to ask for advance payment at the interview. So you can phone Universal Credit Helpline at the DWP, Department of Work and Pension, and ask for advance payment or apply through your online account. I've already said it in the other videos that when you are claiming universal credit and you actually create an online account, so also you need to know how to use a computer in the internet, and all this information are online on the gov.uk. It's also on the internet generally. If you type internet, it will direct you to websites which are actually, more and more accessible to the general public. All you have to have is an equipment and also an internet. There are the disadvantages if you don't have data, then it's going to be complicated. These are some of the problems with universal credit, because the government, although is setting these rules, they are not really being funded. They are costly. It means actually, in broad terms, every time the government change policy, the claimant actually get less money, because you have to have a mobile phone, or a computer, like a laptop or any of those. I mean, you can't afford that because there is a type of money given by the Department of Work and Pension. I can't remember what it is called now, but I will find the name because it's quite rare. It's also not really, you normally you don't really know it is there. But what it is that nowadays they say the money is there, but because it's discretionary. If you go to the Department of Work and Pension, depend on the advisor you get. Sometimes if you get a good advisor, they will help you with the money to buy equipment like mobile phone. If you get a bad one, they will not give you help unless you are actually on maybe a training. But this training should be approved by the Department of Work and Pension, and also if you have a job interview and things like that, so they make it harder for you to get it, because that is actually what the government has told them. Because you ask them, why are you not giving me this help? And they will say something like, this is a government money, this is public money, it should not be misused. So that's the government attitude. If you watch the rest of my video, you will find what might have commented. I'm just trying to, mention specifics so that what I say is actually backed by what is on the government website, which is on benefit on all. I'm still talking about universal credit, but there are all different types of benefits, which I may talk about it going forward. But I may stop talk about benefit and maybe talk about housing or employment. If you comment below what you want me to talk about. Normally, it's advisable to ask for advance payment as soon as possible. Otherwise, it will be lost in translation, because you wait for more than 1 month normally for your first payment. And if you have no money, then you're going to be in some kind of trouble. Now, when you are actually claiming universal credit, normally you get standard allowance and other elements. The other elements may actually include paying for your rent. If you're rent arrears, then you begin to get into trouble. And also, if you get paid your first payment, you have to catch up with paying your rent. So the money itself is not really much. And this is another issue I've raised on my video. And if you have an MP, a member of parliament, if you feel you want to be involved, you can leave a comment below. And also, maybe you can share my video with your member of parliament if you think it makes sense to do so. But if not, you can just go to your MP, book an appointment, and actually complain to your member of parliament to say the government should change its policy on benefit and also on employment, on pay, level of pay in the United Kingdom. Because this relates directly to the universal credit, the cost of living crisis, which is actually income related, also related to other things, but ultimately because people are poor because people don't get enough money. And if they get enough money, say maybe £20 an hour working full-time or part-time or on benefit, which is measured similarly to employment, if that is happening, then probably you could say people still need support with skills to manage money, also to manage debt, avoid getting into debt. So the government, in theory, should be doing more, and because it's not doing enough, its work is cut out, and also the British people are going to be in more trouble. But I already said it elsewhere, I say it again here, that when I talk of the British people, I'm also talking about the other people of the world, because you see, we are practicing a system of capitalism, of the market economic system, this is politics of democracy, whatever that is. Leave comment below what you think about democracy or politics or whatever. But this is actually under globalization. What happened in Europe happened around the world. What happened in Britain similarly happened around the world. Because there's something called harmonization, which is actually probably a good thing, because the globe is becoming like one big country of the world. I've discussed globalization somewhere, but I may visit globalization in the future to talk about it, and God's willing. There is also something called assessment periods under managed migration. Migration means you're moving from legacy benefit to new benefit. New benefit is universal credit. So managed migration is what it means is the government actually give you a notice or moving away from legacy benefit to the new benefit. This period is actually this process is actually called managed migration. So the assessment period is the period from when your benefit starts and ends. So you might be able to get your first payment in less than 5 weeks if you claim if you claim between your deadline day and the final deadline. Now, when you talk about deadline day, that's the deadline given to you before initially. But if you actually don't meet the deadline, then you are actually maybe given another 5 months. Another 4 weeks, about a month as an extension of the deadline. It's called final deadline because afterward, if you don't now claim universal credit, because if you are migrating, you have to claim it. The other benefit is going to be stopped, and you have to claim universal credit within a deadline. I think probably 3 months. I can't remember now. I think it's 3 months deadline. And some people don't actually claim. But if you claim, if you claim between your deadline day and the final deadline, then you can get your payment within less than 5 weeks. And this is something you can pay attention to, or if you're helping somebody else, you can pay attention to. You can also leave a comment below if you think you might need additional help. But the best place to go is actually the government website, gov.uk, or other charitable organizations, charities, and all those kind of websites. It is also important to note that your assessment period begins on the deadline day. If you have given a deadline, that is when your assessment period begins. And this is regardless whether you claim your universal credit near your final deadline. Final deadline is actually the deadline of the extended period after the deadline day. Your migration notice will normally tell you when your deadline day is. So the Department of Work and Pension may agree to extend your deadline day, and in that circumstance, you can send you can be sent a letter confirming your new date. Like I said, the final deadline is actually 1 month after the deadline day. The deadline day is actually the deadline of the first migration period. When you are paying back advance payment, because it is a loan, so you have to pay it back. When you are paying it back, it will be taken automatically from your universal credit, and you will have to agree with the DWP how much you're going to pay back and how long is it going to take to pay back. Depending on your circumstance, you can actually ask to pay it quicker. But if you are going to face hardship, you might actually want to ask the Department of Work and Pension to postpone the payment, and if you should be asked to pay the loan back sooner. If you can't afford it because you have some kind of hardship in terms of finance, then you can negotiate with the Department of Work and Pension. Normally, the Department of Work and Pensions will take 25% of your maximum, 25% of your benefit amount in repayment of advance. So the minimum they can take, actually the minimum amount they can take actually to make a repayment is actually 15% of your standard allowance. So it's measured against standard allowance, especially if you don't have any earnings. If you're facing hardship, you can negotiate with your work coach, which is your advisor at the Department of Work and Pensions, to extend the payment. Maybe they postpone it to 3 months, up to 3 months. That is the maximum they will allow to actually postpone the repayment up to 3 months. Normally, if you cannot afford because you are experiencing an unexpected extra cost, for example, you have to explain to them specifically what is happening. For example, maybe if you're sick, if your child is sick, if maybe transport to school or whatever. I mean, if you're experiencing some extra cost one way or the other, I would say probably, the cost of living crisis probably would be an example, but I'm not sure. Normally, if the Department of Work and Pensions refuses to give you advance payment, you can ask them to look at the decision again. This is called reconsideration. And it is not mandatory, which means it is discretionary. It's not of right that you're going to get extra advance payment. So when you are actually claiming universal credit, you can actually, if you're in debt or maybe in rent arrears, there are certain ways you can deal with rent arrears or debt. And I've explained this elsewhere, but there is probably something you can get some grant from the council or from the Department of Work and Pensions. It's a case of finding out what is available and what is not available. And there are also, if you're struggling generally with costs, you can actually get some help, interest-free loan from the government, maybe local authorities, from the council. But it's easy to say, but try your best to get help, like I said in the other videos. And if you have children, and if your children are probably, maybe they are the age of 14, under the age of 14, or are disabled, and your local council might be able to help them in one way or the other. There's a case of finding out what kind of help are available. And you might also get a cover. You might also cover essential living costs or find. They might cover essential living costs or find you somewhere else to live if you're struggling with housing costs. Housing costs, well, you're probably maybe on benefit, but the house you're living in maybe is more expensive than something called the benefit cap. Something I also discussed this in the other videos, but you can look on the government website, find out what benefit cap is. Which is something actually, benefit cap is something I've actually criticized, which the government should probably take a look at the policy to find out whether it can change the law, because the objective of benefit should be to actually get the British people out of poverty. Also look at food bank. You can get some food from the council by using a system of food bank. You get a food voucher. You normally get a referral. Sometimes probably you can do self-referral. Find out if you can get self-referral, but the likelihood is that you have to be referred by an organization, by professionals, and then you get the voucher. Find out as much information as you can, help yourself, and also get help from a professional. Sometimes you can get free school meals, but this depends on your local authority. And also you can get, you can reduce the cost of uniform, but this is also depend on your local authority. When you are actually waiting for your universal credit payment and you're struggling with the cost of living, speak to an advisor and DWP or maybe Citizen Advice or any of the organizations in the United Kingdom. Like I said, you have to go to an interview for universal credit. It's called universal credit interview. So you have to actually, and this is actually the last step of applying for universal credit, which is actually to have an interview with your work coach, and then the person you will meet regularly as part of your training. So before then, you will need to set up a universal credit account, like I said. So after actually setting up your application, after setting up your account, you make an application. You fill out an application form. You can also get help from professionals, something called help to claim within other organizations. Just find out who they are on gov.uk. Or you can probably get help also from the Department of Work and Pension if you can't really claim. If you can fill out the form, if you can actually get help from family or friends. So the DWP will discuss with you whether you're going to go to the job center to do interview at the office, or actually it can be over the phone. And normally the best thing for you to do is actually check your online account for messages, and also check the details of you will agree actually on details and on your details, and actually agree on the claim and commitment. Claim and commitment is actually what I discussed, like a contract, and what your commitments are for in return of benefit. Or if you're claiming benefit, you have to make commitment to look for work, for example, or to do training, and to do a mandatory activity provided by the government. All these conditions are there. And if that is why sometimes if you don't keep to the commitment, you can actually get a benefit sanction. And this actually set out what task you will be doing regularly to get universal credit. If you don't do it, your universal credit may stop. And I think this is wrong, because I think benefit is disgraceful. It's my personal opinion, and I think it should actually be scrapped and replaced by something else. But don't take my word for it, because I don't think it's going to be scrapped. If we stop, I don't think anything else will replace it. And I've said it elsewhere that if the British government can no longer support employment or benefit in this country, then they should support the British people, families and communities, and give back our land, because the government took our land and told us they're going to run the country on our behalf. But if they can no longer run the country on our behalf, then they may as well give us back our land, so that we can grow our own food. We may need some help from the government, because the government has been running the country on our behalf. And while that is that has taken place, I mean, we are given resources, to buy our own tractors, to buy our own land, grow our own food, get our own technology with the money the government is giving us to produce food, medicine, natural medicine products. Or we can actually set up a factory to manufacture medicine. We have to turn into researchers as citizens of this country or residents of this country, supported by the government. And the same goes with housing, healthcare, and all these things I've been talking about it, but I'll be talking about it going forward. And thank you so much. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed, and we'll be talking about these things. And let me know in the comment below. Click the notification bell, share the video with family and friends. And we're talking about universal credit and the complexities. And I'm also talking bit by here and again to actually provide some kind of like independent analysis, thought about what I think about the rules on universal credit. And universal credit is money given by the British government to help the British people who need help with the cost of living crisis, but even more so, even without the crisis and the cost of living crisis. If you don't work, if you work, you're on low income, you have no savings, these are some of the eligibility criteria, then you might get some of this help. And pay attention if you live in the United Kingdom, given if you don't get this money and you're sick, maybe you're a pensioner, maybe you are a child, or you don't work, you can get into some serious trouble. You can be homeless, you can go to prison because you're not paying your council tax. Council tax is mandatory. It's a criminal offense if you don't pay it for any good reason. It's not enough to say you're not working because you have to go and claim benefit. I don't understand from the government, if somebody is already poor and they don't have money, why do you set policy such as to make them pay? It's like creating a country of slavery. If you don't have a property, if you don't have to rent, if the government hasn't even built a house and to give it to you, and it turns around and say, okay, this is a public house, and you wait for 20 years on the waiting list, you are not given any right of housing, you still have to pay taxes on the property which doesn't even belong to you. It's a system which is actually very strange. It's a very wrong policy. It's poorly thought through. It should stop. People who do not, because the government is running the country. He took away the country from the British people. Government took away the country to run the country on the behalf of the British people. People don't have anything. They have to depend on the government. Now, government turns around and say, okay, the government cannot help everybody. Who does the government want to help and who does the government not want to help? See, we are all humans. I mean, why should the system concentrate wealth in the hand of the few, taking wealth away from the hand of the many? This is what I have been talking about. And something is not right about, because, see, people die, because this is their country. If the government has taken your country away, are you going to die? What are you going to get? Because we now see it, because the government is the help being provided until there. There is still employment. There is still healthcare, but it is shutting down, you see. The signs are there. People I don't know if they are relaxed or what, but things are getting harder and harder, and it's not going to get better. The government grows the economy, it builds the economy, but the money goes to the super rich. The poor people will never get anything. Middle class and the upper middle class are still getting something because they still have jobs. But their jobs are going to shut down because, the economy is going to stop. I mean, if people don't have money to buy something, I mean, what do you do? I mean, more and more people will be losing their jobs anyway, because also a machine is coming, like computer, like artificial intelligence, all these things are coming, robotics, I've mentioned them, so we will have less, not more jobs. The middle upper class will begin losing their jobs, so 90% of people, eventually, or even more, will be jobless. Maybe in 100 years or even in 50 years, we begin to see it now. And if the government is shutting also down, because if you shut down the public sector, that is the government. The private sector is not the government, it's just a business which actually makes money for itself, and it doesn't actually help anybody at all. They don't even do charity, they never do anything, they just make money for themselves, which is, I mean, only a few people actually are running businesses which can make them rich, which are actually investors, entrepreneurs, but small and middle businesses should not even be counted as business because they are struggling, they are shutting down now. It is very pessimistic, and it is a very dangerous thing happening in societies across the globe. We sleep and refuse to talk about this. We sleep and refuse to address this now. It will be too little, too late in about 50 years, 100 years time. Our generation, we may not see it. The next generation may not see it, but the signs are beginning now. The suffering or accessing wealth will begin now. It's going to get worse, not better, because it's, the system is changing. We are bringing in technology. You see, that's why I have been looking at the specifics about the kind of help being given to the United Kingdom, and going forward, we'll be actually examining this, looking at this, and also trying to explain the consequences. Now, in the process of claiming universal credit, sometimes you don't have the ability to identify yourself, because there are actually specific information the government wants to know, to identify that this is who you are, and you might not have it, but therefore there are actually ways where the Department of Work and Pensions may ask you more questions, but more and more now they're going to need more documents to prove who you are, because in practice this is impractical, because in practice the Department of Work and Pensions will not be giving you benefit if you don't have actually documents to prove whatever they want you to prove. After applying for universal credit, you need to book an interview at your local job center. In booking this interview, you have 1 month deadline. If you don't, then something else may be really happening. If you don't arrange the interview within 1 month, you might have to start the application for universal credit, and that's a lot of work. And it is so complicated that a lot of people cannot actually claim successfully unless some professionals help them. In the process of booking your interview, there is something called, there's a checklist which is actually called to-do list. What you need to do, there is a section called to-do list which you have to pay attention to. You look at that, your universal credit account, and then there will be an item there called prepare for your appointment. When you are actually applying for universal credit, you need to provide different types of evidence. Could be about money, could be about saving, could maybe bank statement or whatever. You need to provide actually documented evidence. And normally, if you don't, then you will delay things, you will complicate things, and you might end up not actually. In my experience working with people, because we used to work at Help to Claim, to help people as an advisor, to help people who are actually claiming benefits. And a lot of the time, these people are actually not paid benefit, because they lose out benefit. Their application is actually stopped, and if they are already claiming some other type of benefit, and they might be paid some benefit, but it will stop if they don't actually take certain evidence. It's getting worse and worse now, and this is something people should pay attention to. If you need to speak to your member of parliament, your MP, about the complexity of universal credit, it's applying, its assessment, and also it's all the process is getting more and more complicated, and if you don't know how to use the internet, it's going to be really. Now there are different numbers for different things. Also, there are also different options. The Department of Work and Pensions, DWP, might actually phone you to book an interview. But if they don't, you have to actually phone them within a month. Otherwise, you get into trouble. Then you actually decide which evidence you're going to take and what number you will use. If you have a problem and you cannot book your interview or you cannot attend the interview, you need to call Universal Credit Helpline and explain to them what the problem is. You need your national insurance number when you call, there are actually places you can find national insurance number on, and it's up to you. It's your responsibility, it's your benefit. Now, if you're calling from landline or mobile phone, the calls are often free, and also it's best to use the number, because when you are actually applying for universal credit, you're filling out the form. You leave your contact number there. It can be landline or mobile number. Try your best, use the same number because it speeds up the process. You can wait actually for 30 minutes or more. If your phone airline at the DWP, you're going to be put on a queue. And if you don't have actually money, if you have to pay for your phone, if you don't have a proper mobile or landline, if they have to charge you, then you might not be able to claim universal credit or actually communicate with the Department of Work and Pension because it's going to cost a lot of money. If you don't have a phone at home, you may have to go to the job center. If you are lucky, you might get a phone. I don't think they supply a phone at the moment. They used to supply a phone at that time. But also, it's so complicated because it's not really straightforward. Sometimes the phone disconnects and you have to start all over again. And this is something you have to go through because things are changing. It's getting harder to get help from the government. As always, you have to be as organized. It's like looking for work. It's like working. It's like doing complicated things, claiming benefit and also sustaining benefit, maintaining benefit. It's a lot of stress. It's very stressful because you have to deal with authorities all the time. You have to be going there. They can phone you at any time, telling you to do anything they want you to do. I mean, if you don't do it, then you risk losing your benefit, and you have to be really organized. And when you're going to an interview with the Department of Work and Pension, you have to gather all the information, all the things they ask for. If you don't, then the likelihood that you're not going to get benefit, or if you're already getting benefit for some reason, because we are talking about the first interview, which means you are still not getting universal credit. Universal credit, actually, if you ask yourself, why should universal credit take 5 weeks, 5 months, 5 weeks before you get paid? Because you see, if you go to the Department of Work and Pension today, you should get your benefit today. There is absolutely, because there is technology. You see, the only place you are treated as if you are actually in the period of prehistoric existence. Well, I mean, the only reason you don't get things done quickly because the government is reluctant to pay benefit to people. That is their attitude. It's a political attitude. That's why things now doesn't work in the public. Anywhere actually, not just. I'm just using benefit, universal credit as an illustration. The same problem is actually everywhere. If you go to the hospital, you go try to get housing, if you try to take your children to school. I don't know what goes on in school, not quite, but there are a lot of problems in school now with excluding children, in discipline. I don't know why children are getting more and more indisciplined in schools. There's something called PRU, I think, people referral unit is becoming more and more common. Yeah, you put children there and you exclude them. So the attitude of the government is actually to kind of harass the British public out of public service. And public service is so abusive and it is so abused by the state. This is something people should really take seriously because it is everything and everywhere. It's housing, it's food and energy. It's also part of the public sector. The government has privatized the health service. They have privatized the only thing they cannot privatize is the benefit system, but also they have privatized benefit because now some benefit you get it from the energy company, water company, you get it from private companies like as grants. There are organizations which are now, some of them are charities, some of them are actually private businesses. I mean, if you think of food is a form of benefit. I mean, that's why we have food bank. That's why we have fuel bank. We have a fuel bank or whatever you call them. These are actually signs of the time. People should need to pay attention to this because it's getting worse and worse. And the cost of living is also a sign. And the war in Ukraine, the war in the Middle East, these are all signs. You need to really pay attention to these things because they relate directly or indirectly to our society, which is actually dysfunctioning. Why is society dysfunctioning? The society is functioning because of culture. Culture at home, the culture at work, the culture at play. You name it, the human condition is getting worse and worse, and we have to go back to basic respect, and respect yourself. And if you respect yourself, you love yourself. If you respect other people, you love them. You live peacefully with one another. You help each other. You can even tell the government what to do because the government is supposed to run the country on your behalf. Now, the government, the way it behaves, is like the government is the boss and you are actually a servant, which is not democratic. This is not democracy. Democracy means you are the boss, the government of the people, for the people, by the people. That is the basics of democracy, which is actually old school. Now we talk about freedom, liberty, whatever. I mean, you are free from what? Poverty. I mean, if you are free from poverty, then you are good. You are free from unemployment. I mean, what if you lose your job? You are employed by somebody. In the other video, I said employment is not a good thing because you should be self-employed, employing yourself, but also you have to have enough money in your life. You may not be poor, rich, but you have to get out of. You shouldn't be in poverty because technology is improving now. There should be products now available through technology being produced to reduce the cost of living. Now, you find that things like ULEX is destroying used vehicles. Used products are being destroyed one way or the other, so that you have to buy something new. Even if you don't need to buy something new, the prices of products will go down. But because of the behavior of the market, people who do business want to maximize their profit. And this is consistent with welfare. And I've actually discussed this with different people. So we need to kind of we need to pay attention to our life. Basically, if you go to the department, the DWP will not believe anything you say unless you can provide evidence. Now, this has made claiming benefit almost impossible. Because you go and speak to the Department of Work and Pension, in practice, you are not going to be given benefit unless you can prove that you are who you say you are. In detail, how old, your age, where you come from, whether you are actually British, whether you are actually have recourse to public fund. Because the benefit system is so complicated. If you are actually a foreigner, you come to live here, you need to stay here for 5 years before getting benefit. Even if you are already given a stay for 5 years, you cannot get benefit. And that applies to the hospital, applies to schools. You have no recourse to public housing, healthcare, and you can actually, literally, you can die in the United Kingdom if you're a foreigner, if you don't have insurance, if I'm correct. And you will comment below if you know about foreign people who are now being excluded. If you don't have money, you're not supposed to come to the UK because you might die. I mean, not like in the past, people used to give money. I mean, if you came to the UK, you used to get food, shelter, access to healthcare. The system has become evil. I'm not saying the government is evil, but the system is definitely becoming evil because it does no longer prioritize on humanity. And this is what I said about the cultural economy, which is a problem which we need to really neglect. I mean, if we think in Britain that we are more interested in preventing foreigners from coming to our country, then that is our priority. But you need to know that foreigners are not the cause of your problem. The government is the cause of your problem because it is failing to deliver on the public sector. You don't have money. You are not a rich person. You cannot survive if the public sector does not work. The public sector cannot be provided by private companies, and public service and public sector is being privatized, including the benefit system, including employment. Employment should not be privatized. To be provided by the government, there should be guaranteed employment. Otherwise, the government should guarantee something else. They should guarantee benefit, because they cannot guarantee employment as a public sectoral instrument where if you are actually being employed by a private company and it is a small and medium business, the government should guarantee minimum wage or living wage, national minimum wage, whatever you call it, up to a level, maybe £30 an hour. It has to be paid for by taxpayers' money to support small and medium business, to actually ring-fence money to pay a basic salary, and to everyone who lives in the United Kingdom who work. If you don't work, you should be paid benefit, and the system of benefit should be simplified. You don't need evidence to get benefit. You have to tell the Department of Work and Pension has to phone the tax office to prove that you are not working. That's all they have to do. They don't need to do anything. Especially if you are living in a house, you all you have to do is basic evidence. You only just take your ID, or just you're paying a bill somewhere. You're paying a bill, and even they can phone the hospital. If you go to the hospital, you have a hospital number. That is enough for the Department of Work and Pension to just check that you are who you said you are, and you tell them you're not working, and that is enough, because you can actually be asked to bring a statement or bank statement. That is okay. It's so easy. You go to the bank and get it, or that is all you have to do. Or the Department of Work and Pension, who do you bank with? Barclays Bank or NatWest. They can phone. The system should be working. You shouldn't phone an office and wait for 2 hours, or for 1 hour, or for 30 minutes even, or even for 10 minutes. Why should you wait on the phone for 10 minutes trying to phone a department, government department, or even a private company? If you phone an organization, customer service, they will answer your phone within maybe seconds, because they are customer service, maybe they are sales, not customer service, sales. They're trying to sell you something, maybe insurance or whatever. Now, if you phone to receive service, you are going to have to wait for longer. This is a form of corruption by private companies, by public companies. But public companies is worse, because they don't have funding. Especially now, if you can phone the tax office for 1 year, nobody will answer your phone. Literally, you can phone a government department. If you're not careful, you're not going to be. Your phone will not be answered. They will transfer your phone from one place to another, to another, to another. It should change, because you see, the only thing they are trying to avoid is to spend public money to provide public service. This money is being given to a few millionaires and billionaires, and that's why there is poverty in a country like Britain. And it is getting worse. It has always been there, and also it's getting worse around the world, not just in one country. It's just going to be global. And I'm going to stop this video here and carry on next time we meet. And thank you so much for watching with me, and talk to you soon. Subscribe to my channel, and leave a comment below, share my video with family and friends, and speak to you then. Thank you. Bye-bye. Good morning, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is David Okon. I've been talking about the cost of living crisis. I've been talking about money given to support the cost of living crisis. I've been linking the cost of living crisis with different topics, subtopics, and if you watch this video, watch the rest of the video as well. I'm now actually doing voice recording and integrating it with templates. It's an approach I'm developing. So this is comment.